Hebei and Chengdu, China. In a harrowing convergence of natural disasters, China's Hebei Province and the city of Chengdu in Sichuan Province were battered by a deadly combination of tornadoes and flash floods on July 2, 2025. The twin catastrophes left a trail of destruction across both regions, killing at least 38 people, injuring hundreds, and displacing over 200,000 residents. The events have reignited urgent discussions about climate change, infrastructure resilience, and the growing unpredictability of extreme weather in East Asia. Morning, torrential rains begin. In the early hours of July 2nd, meteorological stations in Hebei and Sichuan began recording unprecedented rainfall rates, with some areas receiving over 300 millimeters of rain within 12 hours. Rivers began to swell, and emergency alerts were issued across multiple districts. Midday, tornado touches down in Hebei. At approximately 1:15 p.m. local time, a powerful tornado tore through Zhangzhou, a city in eastern Hebei Province. The twister, classified as EF3, carved a path of destruction through industrial zones and residential neighborhoods, toppling warehouses, flipping vehicles, and leveling homes. Afternoon, Chengdu flooded. By 3 p.m., the city of Chengdu was inundated by flash floods as the Jin River and its tributaries overflowed. Streets turned into rivers, subway stations were submerged, and thousands were stranded in office buildings, schools, and public transport terminals. The sky turned black. Zhao Ming, a factory worker in Zhangzhou, described the tornado's arrival. The sky turned black in seconds. We heard a roar like a freight train. Then the roof was gone. I saw cars flying. Zhao survived by hiding under a steel workbench. His co-worker, Li Wei, was not as fortunate. He was found hours later beneath rubble. We escaped through the window. In Chengdu's Qingyang district, Lu Fang, a mother of two, recounted how she and her children escaped rising floodwaters. The water came so fast. We had to climb out the window and onto the roof. My youngest was crying the whole time. They were rescued by a drone-guided inflatable raft dispatched by the Sichuan Emergency Response Unit. Hebei Province. 2,500 troops from the People's Liberation Army deployed. Mobile field hospitals set up in Zhangzhou and Langfang. Temporary shelters established in 38 schools and stadiums. Emergency funds of 1.2 billion yen, US $165 million allocated. Chengdu Municipality. Urban Search and Rescue, USAR, teams deployed with amphibious vehicles. Helicopter evacuations conducted in high-rise districts. Public transport suspended, with 4 subway lines flooded. Psychological support centers opened for trauma victims. Vice Premier Zhang Guoqing visited both regions within 48 hours, stating, "We must treat this as a national emergency. The safety and dignity of our citizens come first." Experts from the China Meteorological Administration, CMA, and Nanjing University of Atmospheric Sciences identified several contributing factors. Unstable atmospheric pressure due to a stalled monsoonal front. Warm, moist air from the South China Sea colliding with cold northern air. Jet stream anomalies that intensified storm cells. Urban heat island effect amplifying convection in Chengdu. Dr. Meng Gao, a climate modeler, noted, "This was not a coincidence. It was a convergence of meteorological extremes made more likely by climate change." China has experienced a 42% increase in extreme weather events over the past 2 decades. The 2024 State of the Climate in China report warned that tornadoes are appearing in non-traditional regions like Hebei. Flash floods are becoming more frequent and intense. Urban areas are ill-equipped to handle sudden deluges. In 2023 alone, climate-related disasters cost China over $18 billion in damages. The July 2nd events may push 2025's total even higher. Hebei's tornado vulnerability. Outdated building codes in industrial zones. Lack of tornado sirens or early warning systems. Insufficient storm shelters in rural areas. Chengdu's flood risk. Rapid urbanization reduced natural drainage. Blocked stormwater systems due to poor maintenance. Construction in floodplains exacerbated water accumulation. A leaked report from the Ministry of Housing and Urban-Rural Development revealed that only 46% of Chengdu's drainage infrastructure met national standards. With floodwaters receding, new threats have emerged. Waterborne diseases such as cholera and hepatitis A. Mental health crises among children and elderly. Shortages of clean water and medical supplies. The Ministry of Health has deployed mobile vaccination units, portable water filtration systems, mental health counselors, and trauma therapists. In Hebei, over 1,200 patients were treated in makeshift clinics within the first 48 hours. Chengdu, China, in a dramatic shift from its usual tranquility, the southwestern city of Chengdu was rocked by a rare and devastating tornado earlier this week. The natural disaster left a trail of destruction and raised urgent questions about climate resilience in regions traditionally considered safe from such extremes. On Monday afternoon, residents in districts like Jinmyo and Qingbeijing watched in horror as darkened skies gave way to roaring winds and flying debris. For many, it was an experience they described as something out of an apocalyptic movie. The China Meteorological Administration, CMA, confirmed that the tornado reached EF3 on the enhanced Fujita scale, with winds exceeding 250 kilometers per hour. The storm lasted approximately 12 minutes, long enough to upend neighborhoods and lives. Chengdu's geographical location makes it an unlikely site for tornadoes until now. Meteorologists from Nanjing University of Atmospheric Sciences attribute the event to collision of warm, moist air from the South China Sea with cold air from the northwest. Intense atmospheric instability, compounded by prolonged rainfall. Upper-level wind shear that generated a vertical vortex. These conditions formed a supercell, the most intense kind of thunderstorm, now occurring with increasing frequency across unfamiliar regions in China. I was cooking when the window suddenly blew in. The next second, our roof lifted and the back wall collapsed. I hugged my children and prayed. May's family now resides in a temporary shelter, alongside hundreds awaiting clean water and medical aid. Meanwhile, Zhao Wen, a local rice farmer, watched helplessly as the storm shredded his 5-hectare field. "My entire season's income is gone," he said, tears in his eyes. Chengdu's emergency services deployed over 3,000 personnel, including military units and Chinese Red Cross volunteers, to conduct rescue operations. Authorities set up 20-plus temporary shelters, offering bedding, hot meals, and medical supplies. Psychological counseling for trauma victims. Structural assessments to prevent further collapses. President Xi Jinping called for swift rehabilitation efforts with people's safety as the top priority, pledging 200 million yen, approximate $28 million in recovery aid. According to the latest State of the Climate in China 2024 report, national temperatures have risen by 1.2 degrees Celsius since 1960. Extreme weather events have increased by over 42% in the past 20 years. Tornado incidents that once numbered 2 to 3 per year now exceed 10 annually, with greater reach into the country's interior. As Chengdu begins to clear the wreckage, this disaster stands as a stark reminder. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It is here, reshaping weather patterns and vulnerabilities. What was once an anomaly is now becoming a pattern. Scientists warned that unless mitigation and adaptation strategies are urgently implemented, similar events could strike other cities previously considered safe.
啊，这里头，那个车吊起来。